So my name is Dr. Marissa Gray. I am the director of the Biomedical Engineering Master's program here at Brown. I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Trisha Chien. She is the Assistant Master's Program Director here at Brown. And we also have a representative from the School Professional Studies, Victoria Bray, on the call that really can talk more about the application and what is required. And then we also have Jack Blocker, who will introduce himself as a current master's student, and we'll get to him in just a couple minutes right away. So we did promise today was live from the lab. So we have a student live from the lab today. Before we go to him, I just want to give a little bit intro to our graduate program at Brown. Most of you here today are interested in the master's program, but some of you might also be interested in the PhD program. So I will touch upon that a little bit as well. But what I really want to do is introduce you to kind of our organization at Brown. So our biomedical engineering program is it's not a department, it's actually an institute. So we're the Brown Institute for Biology, Engineering, and Medicine. And what this means is we basically straddle two different entities at Brown, the School of Engineering and the Division of Biology and Medicine, which includes our medical school. So we get the best of both worlds, clinical real world research, and also state-of-the-art School of Engineering resources. And I'm going to talk a bit about our research pillars. We have so much great research going on at Brown. It's really hard to bucket the different types of research, but if I had to pick different areas, I'd pick these five areas. So we have neuroengineering and neurotechnology, biosensors and bioplatforms, mechanobiology and biomechanics, which includes soft tissue mechanics, and orthopedic biomechanics. We also have tissue regeneration and engineering, lots of different applications there. And I kind of saved this one for last, integrative biomaterials, or what I call smart biomaterials, which is falls into the area of what we're going to be talking today when we go live from the lab. So very briefly, before we do that, here is just some of our core biomedical engineering faculty. We are constantly adding faculty to our affiliated faculty for biomedical engineering. And like I said, we do many, many different things in different areas of research. So next will be, I forgot one slide. We do research at all different scales. So at the nanoscale level, we have researchers like Teresa Raimondo, Anita Shukla, which we'll talk a lot more about in just a minute. Our Dean of the School of Engineering, Dean Tejal Desai, they do a lot of different applications at the nanoscale, all the way up through the macro scale, where we have folks working on deep brain stimulation for neuroengineering and also orthopedic biomechanics. And I skipped everything in between, but we have some really great research there as well. All right. And we also collaborate really well with a lot of the different hospitals and clinics and other departments actually on campus as well. So these are just some of the area clinics that we partner with, like the Rhode Island Hospital, the Butler Hospital, the Providence VA, again, our biomedical center, our computer science department, and even industries as well. So, without further ado, I'm going to give it to Jack Blocker. He is live from the Shukla lab. He'll talk a lot about their materials research there, biomaterials research there. So, Jack, I'm going to give it to you. I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen so that and make it so that you're kind of the highlight of so everyone can see the lab behind you. Oh, there we go.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Jack Flocker. I'm a current fifth year master's student in the biomedical engineering department at Brown. So basically, I don't know if Miss Marissa Gray has talked about this, but you can choose to do a fifth year at Brown, and it's a really easy process to get more research experience in the graduate level research, which was really great for me because it let me explore my research interests that I started in my senior year in undergrad. So this is the Shukla Lab for Biomaterials at Brown, if you guys can see it. It's a really cool building in the new part of the Engineering Research Center. So we have a lot of really cool technology here that we use day to day, especially in my research. So we are a biomaterials nanoscale research center at Brown. So we do a lot of research with very smart biomaterials, as Professor Gray kind of already alluded to. Personally, my project is anti-hyphal nanoparticles. So I design lipid nanoparticles for combating different fungal films and for conjugating different antifungal drugs within liposomes to prevent their cytotoxicity, but still allowing them to have great therapeutic potential. Other different projects in the lab, include loading osteopearls or tiny bone fragments with different drugs for long-term release studies. And this is actually a project that I personally don't work on, but is in conjunction with the Butler Hospital, which really shows that even within our lab, we have many different relationships going on with many different types of professionals and hospital physicians. Additionally, we have one of our recent graduating PhD students, Alec McCall, who is designing biomaterials for antibiotic properties. And he's actually developing a company out of the research that he's done here at Brown in this very laboratory. So it really just goes to show that even within something like biomaterials, you have a lot of different paths for connection and even for bringing your projects kind of to life.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Now, if there are any questions for Jack or myself, if you have any questions, you can find the Q&A um, chat down at the kind of the Zoom bar, if you will, and just type your questions there. In the meantime, Jack, is there a piece of equipment in the lab that you work on the most that you can show us?
Yeah, let me go bring you over to the microbial hood. I spend a lot of time doing different microbe studies in the lab, specifically again with different funguses. Um, so we kind of enter through, we have this separate little room here. Um, and right now we have some other people running studies, but I essentially use these things. You might be familiar. They're biosafety hoods. Essentially, they let us do biological work in a very safe way. And I use this device almost every single day for pipetting and plating and working with various different microbes.
That is so cool. Thank you so much for showing us that room. And there two or three hoods in there?
There's two, and then we have an additional two hoods in the tissue room as well, which is another room that I use as pretty routinely for different cytotoxicity studies and for modeling different in vivo data. Um, there it is. There's Carolina, one of our PhD students.
Very nice. And so I have a really great question here from one of our participants, Kevin. So Kevin says, what does your day-to-day as a master's student look like? Which is an awesome question. Thank you for that, Kevin.
That's actually a really great question. My day to day, I'm pretty busy this semester because I'm TAing, I work in a lab, and I'm taking three upper level graduate classes. So I'm a pretty busy bee, but usually I get into the lab at 9 and I usually get done at like 5:30. And it really, for me, is I try to keep it as a 9 to 5, but that can vary from person to person. I just try to consistently do research every single day so I don't try to fall behind on any of my projects. But I know people that really do it pretty sporadically and they work like, very, very long hours and then shorter hours. When it comes to doing research, it's really up to you with what fits best with your life. And as long as you're really getting the research done, I found that there's many different work styles that work for you. But traditionally, I'll go into the lab. I have a few classes in the afternoon, along with a few meetings. And then throughout my time where I'm not in classes or working, I'm in the lab, and then I head home.
That is really great. Thank you so much for that. Any other questions for Jack? I'll ask him one in the meantime. But the question I'll ask you, Jack, is about more about classes. You just mentioned that you're taking 3 classes. Do you have a favorite graduate level class that you either are taking or have taken?
Well, I have to shout out my favorite class that I've ever taken at Brown, which is nanoengineering and nanomedicine, which is actually how I got inspired to do the current research that I do. It's also the class that I TA. And I really enjoy this class because it really shows you how different nanomaterials get developed and their current applications in science and also in industry. And I just found that class very inspiring. Uh, Considering I think that nanomaterials have such an amazing variety of applications. So if I really had to pick one class that you should research and look at, it would be Engine 1510. That's the course code here at Brown, nanoengineering and nanomedicine.
Yeah, and that is also taught by Dr. Anita Shukla. And just as a reminder, this is just one of the many labs we have here at Brown, but Dr. Shukla is a very great advisor. Um, there's also another question here from Manasi, and they ask, well, first they asked, how did you decide to work on this project lab? And I think you just answered that by taking the class, the nanoengineering and nanomedicine class. But the next question is, do you have the ability to transition to a PhD from your current project, or is that something you're not interested in?
Um, I know a lot of people that have transitioned from a master's program here at Brown into a PhD. Uh, Actually, when I took nanoengineering and nanomedicine, one of the TAs was a master's student, Brendan, who now is a PhD student in the Desai lab, our dean. So it is definitely possible, and I've seen it done. Personally, as I did my undergraduate here at Brown, and now I'm doing my master's here for my own PhD, I probably want to go somewhere different, not because Brown isn't an amazing institution, but just because I've lived in Rhode Island for 5 years at this point, and I'm ready to get out of the East Coast.
Yeah, that especially it's cold here today, so
Yeah.
especially on days like today. All right. Well, I'll pause just to see if there's any more questions for Jack. And Jack, maybe while we're waiting to see if there's more questions, I know that another lab, so Dr. Srivastava has like a piece of equipment in the corner. I think
Oh, yeah.
really big, like at least in my mind, I call it an MTS machine, but it's like a very large one to me. And maybe we can just kind of highlight that piece of equipment just to kind of cover multiple labs at this point.
Yeah. So we have a really, really big space in the Shukla lab that also has some equipment from some other labs. So this is a tissue engineering device used in Professor Srivastava's lab. And he uses it to basically assess the mechanical properties of various tissues, pseudotissues, and biomaterials that he develops in his own research. And it's a really, really big piece of equipment because it lets you test both the stress and strain properties of a material as well as at different temperatures. And this it's a lot of equipment in the Shukla lab is actually used by a lot of different labs, which really shows the interdisciplinary nature. Like just because you work in one lab with one PI and that is your primary PI does not mean that you can't work and do research in conjunction with other PhD students from other labs and use their equipment if the necessity sometimes comes up. Like for example, we also have a tissue printing device over here. It's a little dark. But this is a really cool piece of equipment which we can use to actually 3D print different tissues with live cells. And people from the Raimondo lab and also from the Desai lab come for that piece of equipment. So there are lots of different pieces of equipment here that are shared across many different laboratories.
Yeah, and that absolutely fosters like collaboration and working and spawning like different projects between groups, which is very common here at Brown. So thank you for that, Jack. I don't think we have any other questions, so I'm going to let you go onto your busy day now that I know how busy you are. So thank you very much. It was very nice talking to you.
Yeah, very nice talking to you guys. Please email me if you have any questions. I know that Professor Gray has my email. I'd be happy to answer any. And have a fantastic rest of your guys' days.
Yes, thank you, Jack. And I will put Jack's email in the chat now. All right. Jack is a really great resource. Like he said, he did his undergrad at Brown, so he knows Brown quite well. All right. So typically, when we do live from the lab, I usually um, also have somebody live from the Brown Design Workshop. We call this the BDW. It's our very large maker space at Brown. But it's actually some exciting news. It's actually undergoing some construction very soon, starting in December, and it's going to have a completely revamped look, although this open concept part of this main floor and all the equipment that you see here, which I'll walk you through in just a minute, will be available, but there will be some other features as well. And on my next slide, I have like what some of that is going to look like, which is very cool. But the Brown Design Workshop is it's like, I would think of it as like the heart of the School of Engineering. Undergrads, master students, PhD students, faculty and staff all use that. You can use it for your personal use. It's largely student run. Obviously, you can use it for class use as well, but it particularly gets busy around, I would say, this time in December for people making Christmas gifts, which is fun. All the materials that you can find here are free to use, which also is a really great perk of the School of Engineering. And I'm going to walk you through a little bit of the equipment here because you can kind of see this is just like a big wide panoramic shot. But if you look over on the left-hand side of your screen, and I'm going to see if I can, well, that's okay. I was trying to fit, oh, here we go. Um, let's see. Can you see my cursor, Trisha? No. Okay. Let's see. How about, oh, well, that's okay. I'll just put like a red dot over here that's a very small red dot. So I'm looking over here on the left-hand side of the screen. This is our woodworking area. So as you can see, there are a lot of different woodworking pieces of machinery here. There's also some drill presses and things like that in the back. And as we move more towards the center, there's a lot of different cubbies to store different projects that are in process. And then as we're moving over to the right side of the screen, I am going to kind of like put an X here for those are the CNC machines. We also have putting an X by the laser cutters. There's actually two of them here as well. What's really fun, I skipped this thing. I'm putting an arrow here. This is a um, it's like a vending machine that has like you don't have to put money in it. It has different electronic components, which is cool. So that is something. There's a whole electronics section, which is actually back like where the person taking this photo is. And over here, you can see a lot of tables. Also, I'm putting X's near the tables so you can see those. There's a lot of tables for group work. And that space this picture doesn't do it justice, but it's actually fairly large. And then way in the back, so if you're looking at the top right corner, that is we have a full machine shop. So lots of different metalworking equipment specifically. And in the foreground of that, where I'm drawing the X right now, we have the 3D printers and sewing machines. And we have specialty 3D printers as well. So we have like regular, like ABS 3D printers, but we have some specialty printers in the back. So that is the Brown Design Workshop. And much of this equipment will be back in the new form, which will look like this. Oh, I wonder how I can clear all my marks. I'll figure out how to do that in just a bit. Um, but in any case, this is the new Lassonde Innovation and Design Hub is what it's going to be called. And it's actually going to take that big space, and it's still going to be a big open space, but part of the room will be three different floors. It will include classrooms and conference rooms and work areas like what you see in the pictures here. And then you can see the outside in a couple of the pictures I have as well. So that is the Innovation Design Hub. So I know we talked a lot about research with Jack and at the beginning, but you don't necessarily have to do research at Brown. You can do design, innovation, you can do courses only, and we'll talk more about that in just a bit. Okay, let's see. All right, so I'm just erasing all my marks and then I'll go back to.
Yeah, while Marisa is doing that, I'm not sure whether when I type in chat, this will go to all of the attendees, but there's a news in the Brown engineering that is talking about the PhD student that Jack talked about, Alec, who does the entrepreneurship. So it's a nice story. So you can see how our master student and the PhD students collaborate, how they actually work from a lab to something that they're interested to put on the market.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's a great news story that just came out. All right, so I think I have next up is more about our institute and our programs. So I'm going to kind of go quickly through our programs and our information. But again, if you have any questions, please locate the Q&A and type your questions there. Dr. Chien, or Victoria, and I will be answering them. So I usually start with this, but we have some really great values in biomedical engineering. Um, they are tradition, distinction, collaboration, and innovation. We've already talked about a lot of these, specifically the collaboration and innovation piece. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about tradition. Brown is a well-established school, as is the School of Engineering and the Division of Biology and Medicine within Brown. The School of Engineering is actually the oldest engineering program in the Ivy League, while the Division of Biology and Medicine, like I said, before it includes our on-campus biology programs, but also the Warren Alpert School of Medicine. Having a medical school attached to a biomedical engineering program is wonderful because you get really, really great clinical real world research. And I think that you kind of heard that a little bit from Jack when he was talking about their collaborations with Butler Hospital, which is wonderful. Now, a little bit more in the distinction category. So at Brown, we're a relatively smaller program, but we are mighty. So we tend to do really great research and we publish a lot. So being number 15 compared to our peers at large state institutions and other large institutions. It's a very good for us. And we also are one of the top schools with the percentage of master's degrees awarded to women. We have a really great ratio of faculty and students. So our lab sizes tend to be relatively small. Our class sizes at the graduate level also tend to be relatively small. And so there are lots of different support faculty and staff to help each of our students. And for those that might not know, Brown is located in Providence, Rhode Island. Rhode Island is the smallest state in the United States, but it's kind of nestled nicely between Boston, which is about 50 miles or an hour or so train ride to the north, and about 180 miles to New York City, or about a 3 hour train ride to the south. So I like to say in Providence, you can really find anything you would really like. You are a short drive from a very short drive from beaches, a short drive from mountains, cities, larger cities. So it's really great. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, I believe, in a bit. I do want to say one of our highlights is specifically for the master's program, but could also apply to the PhD program, is you get to design your own master's programs. So we don't have a required core curriculum or courses that you have to take in the sequence. That's a unique feature of our program. Lots of other programs are a bit more structured, and that's great if that's what you like. But we recognize that BME is so broad that we really want you to take the courses that you want to take and specialize in the areas that you want to specialize in. So we have all different types of courses as well. So small seminars, larger lectures, graduate only courses, lab-based courses, those types of things. I did talk about Providence a little bit. Here's some pictures for those that might not be familiar. Providence is a smaller city, but it's for someone who's not from Providence or Rhode Island originally. It is a very spirited, I would say, creative town. They have all sorts of different festivals and events going on they're very creative in nature, as you can see from some of the murals in these pictures below. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our students and programs. So for both the master's and the PhD, we typically look for students with backgrounds in engineering, physics, applied math, or computer science. If you have a life science background, that's okay. If you have some of our prerequisite courses, which includes a math sequence through to differential, so calculus, usually Calc 1 through to differential equations and a few other basic physics and engineering courses. If you have any questions about whether your background would qualify you for our program, please let me know. You can always email me, and if it doesn't quite fit with our program, we have a few actually really great close programs with us, close programs to us, I should say. The Biotechnology Master's program and the program in Health Informatics, Data Science, those types of programs. I talked a lot about the customization and the open curriculum, and I also did want to touch on the advisor diversity. So we have a lot of different faculty. So some are on campus based faculty, others are faculty in the hospitals or clinical based faculty that train our students. So I have master's students in both types of labs. There's PhD students in both types of labs. So it's really great that we have a very diverse advisor selection. So I do want to talk a little bit more about the master's program. We have 60 current students of the program, just to get you a bit aware of the size. Most of these students are 2 year or a year and a half students. The reason why I say it like that is because our timelines are pretty flexible. I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. We do have part-time and full-time options. Many of our students are full-time, but we do have some part-time students as well. We actually have two different programs. So the Master's of Science, which is thesis-based, we have a research track and a design track. And that is typically a 2 year program because you need that time to do research and design. The Master's of Engineering is non-thesis and it's coursework based, and that can be done in as little as 1 year. A lot of people like to stretch it out a little bit more because of some of our other programs, which I'll talk about. But you can do that in as little as a year. You can do that in 3 semesters. You can do it in 4 semesters. So really, that's something, again, it's really great that you can customize your curriculum. And if that seems overwhelming, myself and Dr. Chan can help you decide different between the different programs, but also different structures of the program as well. I do want to mention that we have a co-op that is available in all tracks. So what that is it's a work experience. So you would basically apply for co-op positions, usually at local companies, but it can be companies all across the United States. And for the semester you're doing the co-op, you would be working full time, earning a salary. You get to keep all of that salary, and you get course credit for that. So that is available in all of the programs and tracks. It is a little bit trickier with the Masters of Science because you do have to work around your research and design work, but many students do it. I always like to say if you're planning on doing a co-op, just plan on it early so you can fit it in and kind of arrange your research and design around it. The GRE is not required for our master's program. And we had just passed actually the spring start deadlines. But for the fall start, which most of you are probably thinking a fall start, our application deadline is April 15th. So we do have a while, but we also review the applications on a rolling basis. So if you get your application in, say over winter break, for many of you, if you are still at an undergrad institution, then which is a great time to do your applications, we will get that decision back to you within a few weeks, typically. We do have a priority deadline of February 1st. That is just, again, the final deadline is April 15th, but if you want to apply, I encourage you to get it in early so that you have that decision in your hand and you can make an informed decision from there. So that would be February 1st. I do want to talk a little bit about the PhD program. We also have around 60 students in our PhD program. Our PhD program is 5 years of guaranteed funding. It is exceedingly competitive. I won't lie on that. And it is a direct match program, meaning that you match with an advisor during the application process. There's also a really great program as part of the PhD program called the Open Graduate Education Program, where you can get a master's in a secondary field. So if you're doing a biomedical engineering PhD, you can't get a biomedical engineering master's, but you can get a master's in another field. We've had people do this in public health, chemistry, economics, and I have a lot of other PhD students that do biomedical engineering as well. I actually have one right now, and who is in chemistry, and it's just a really great program to kind of diversify your interests. For the PhD program, there is rigorous checkpoints like our qualifying exam, but we really aim for students to be successful. So that qualifying exam is typically based on your research, and you write basically a research proposal and defend that proposal. It's not necessarily it's not an exam that's several hours long that you have to prepare for, like some other qualifying exams could be. Again, the GRE is not required here. The application deadline is December 1st, which is coming up, but you still have time to get your applications in for that. All right, so I do have a question, a really great question, actually. So, are applicants expected to know what their research project would be when you start your master's? The answer to that is no. So, I know we talk a lot about the research, but it's okay if you have an idea of the field you want to go into or you don't. That's what Dr. Chan and I are here for. And we're here, we meet with all the students right as you arrive. For orientation, we will meet with you, we'll discuss your goals, and we can point you in the direction of a research advisor. If you're admitted to the program, I also encourage students to reach out through the summer on their research advisors just to kind of meet with them, see what's out there, but you do not need to have a research project and an advisor in hand when you arrive here. I usually typically answer the second question, which is at what point do we get to choose our advisors? That is typically within the first couple of months of the semester. So I would say around October 1st to November 1st is when you should be solidifying your your research advisor if you're doing research, or your design advisor if you're doing design. So many students do it by then, but if you don't, then again, Dr. Chian and I can help you really connect with an advisor. So lots of options there. All right. So if you are interested in applying, and I hope you are, we can pay for your application. So if you are applying to the master's program, if you're interested in that, which again, I would say the vast majority of you are, you will automatically receive a fee waiver just by signing up for this session. We have your information recorded. For the PhD program, if you are interested in that, you can email me directly, and my email will be at the end of this presentation, and I can also put it in the chat for you. Okay, so I also want to talk a little bit more about on the bottom of the slide here, these three different tracks. So we have the research design and the Masters of Science Research and Design and the Masters of Engineering. I do want to say for the research and design, we do require 5 structured courses, but you can take up to 3 independent research courses. The research experience, like what Jack was saying, he has an individual project. He meets with his advisor, Dr. Shukla, regularly. He's really integrated into the lab. And the same thing goes for design. We usually have clinically sponsored design projects that you meet with your clinician. We walk you through the different elements of the design process in the first year, I would say, first 2 semesters. And then we like to have you explore other commercialization or innovation and entrepreneurship options in that second year. The Masters of Engineering is 8 structured courses. And again, this one is really great for part-time options as well. And now I do want to talk about financial options. So, as a master's program, typically in general, not just at Brown, but across the nation, typically master's programs are self-funded, but we do have several different options. I know it's at the bottom, but I'm going to start with our co-op program, which has been really increasing in popularity. So you can typically do a co-op. It's going to be 6 months and it covers either the fall semester or the spring semester. So if it is from January 1st, roughly, to the end of June, that would cover the spring semester. And then if it were from around July 1st to around December, that would be the fall semester that it would cover. And I think I have a slide on that, so I'll keep a little bit more information for the next slide. But again, you get to keep all the salary that you make. And many of my students are making for 6 months around 40,000 or more, which is wonderful. So think about that option. We also have some merit-based scholarships that cover, this is new this year, they actually cover 1 course per year for a 2-year master's. So if you successfully complete your first academic year, you'll get an additional course covered. So then you'd only have to pay for 6 courses instead of 8 courses. We also have different job opportunities like supplemental teaching assistantships and supplemental research assistantships, which are around $2,500 per semester per course for roughly 5 hours a week. The research assistantships, that's really up to the advisor and professor, and they can be around $2,500 to $5,000. We have really great links to outside scholarships on our website. We also have more on and off-campus job opportunities. So international students will have to have on-campus job opportunities unless you're doing a co-op. But domestic students, there's no restrictions for off-campus job opportunities. We do hire some of our master's students as IBEAM assistants. So basically, they help us with many different tasks of running our institute. So keep that in mind. And then we also have something new this past year called the Academic Subtrack and Summer Research Stipend, which is really for those who want to transition into a PhD program from the Masters of Science program, not necessarily at Brown, although we would love for you to apply at Brown, but just if you're interested in PhD programs in general, it's a 6 workshop series, and also you'd be eligible to receive a summer research stipend of $5,000 to focus on your research over the summer. All right, I think I highlighted all the financial options there. Um, I did want to just bring up a few of these details for the co-op program. So this, I didn't update this slide, but I would say most of these salaries range from about 30 to 40,000 for 6-month positions. And here is just a few of the companies that we have relationships with. We actually have an exclusive relationship with Pfizer, and they have several co-op positions every semester that are just for Brown students. We do share that with our biotechnology master's program, but that is a really great offering by Pfizer as an example. Now to go back to our research track students, our research track students do publish. So since 2010, we have had about 140 publications, which is wonderful. Master students have worked with more than 70 different advisors across campus and campus departments, and the medical school. So there's a lot of advisors to choose from. And these are just some of the journals that we publish in. And where do our students go after the master's program? So many of them, I would say about 2/3 go into industry, and about 50% of those go into research and development positions. But there's kind of a growing number of students going into marketing, quality, regulatory affairs, consulting, IP, human factors engineering positions. So lots of different positions to consider. We do have a small subset that go on to medical school. So they do their master's kind of as a gap year or two. And then about 20 to 25% of our students go on to PhD programs. So we do have, to give you an idea of what that looks like, for our academic subtrack this past year, we had 11 students out of our 60 who were in the academic subtrack. So very interested in the PhD, in going on to a PhD program. All right, so here are just a few of the companies that have recently hired our master's students. And you might see some of them are the same as the co-op positions. So that's a really great perk of a co-op, is to transition into a full-time position. And here are some of the schools that our recent master's graduates are actually at for their PhD. Brown being one of them, of course, but many others. Okay, so for my last few slides, I wanted to give you an idea of just how many courses we had offered at Brown. These are just our biology courses. And as you can see from the fall and in the spring, we have traditional biology courses like advanced biochemistry, but we also have courses that could be a little bit more data science in nature or something like biotechnology and IP, or biotechnology and global health. So, really great flavor of courses. For engineering, it's very similar. And actually, I might put Dr. Chan on the spot and have her talk about her new class that she's offering next semester. That's like it has a very key industry perspective to it. So, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So I'm also new here at Brown, and so far I loved here. I love the interdisciplinary culture of the BME just in general, but also just as Marisa said, how livable here is in Providence. So I want to talk about a little bit about the new course I'm developing. This is a course that we're trying to move online entirely, so that students doing co-op or doing research in the lab have the flexibility to take at their own pace, at their own time, but still retain that rigorous, where we're going to have weekly assignments, weekly quizzes, so that you get both the technical component, but also a industry flavor, as Marisa said. For the industry part, where we're going to invite speakers from the industry to share their either experience or their expertise on certain modules that we developed for this course. For this course, the modules are focusing on biomedical imaging for diagnosis, for example, pharmacology, drug discovery, drug delivery, as well as biosensors as the four main pillars. But again, with technical content from me, and then invited speaker provide their industry perspectives. And also, we're trying to push students to step out of their comfort zone to communicate better orally and written skills. So we have a interview that is required as part of the assignment to ask you guys to connect with industry people so that you can map your career from day one if you choose that course when you are on site, so that you are ready when you graduate. Uh,
Yeah. Thank you. That was a great explanation. I have a question from Diego who says, for the master's in engineering, how many courses are we allowed to take at a time? So that would be 4 courses, would be the max really to take. So if you theoretically, if you wanted to finish in a year without a co-op, you could take 4 in the fall and 4 in the spring. But if you wanted to do a co-op, which is a really great option, you would take 4 courses, probably one semester. You can take one course the co-op semester, and then 4 courses in the, or I'm sorry, 3 courses in the fall semester of your second year. So you essentially finish in 3 semesters. So that would be 4 in the fall, 1 in the spring, and then 3 in the fall. So you'd be kind of 3 semesters. Right. All right. So in closing, I did want to highlight some of just our program features. So we have really great, strong, and personalized mentors. Even if you're not doing research, we have really great faculty and staff that are wonderful to meet with, are happy to meet with you at any time, and just really personable. We have flexible courses. We have productive students. Our environment, as you could see by Jack, is very collaborative. We have this really great co-op program for industry experience, and lots and lots of different research avenues that you can take. And overall, of course, we have happy and successful students. So, with that, I will see if there's any other questions, and I will leave you with this. Actually, I'll go back to that previous slide. Um, if you'd like to chat with a current student, we will be hosting conversations very quickly. We are getting a student onboarded for that right now. So take a look at your emails about that if you want to chat with someone about their perspectives as a student. And here's my email for any questions that you might have that you weren't able to say today. And all right. Um, I will wait a few more minutes to see if there's any questions, but if not, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to join us, and we hope you apply. And we're here if you have any questions. Thank you.